Hey everybody, welcome to Fit Tip Tuesday. Today was going to be my scoop for the win video, which is another sewer success story, but I am sneaking in a fitting tutorial for my T pattern ahead of it. So you'll expect the scoop for the win to be next week on Fit Tip Tuesday. This week I was working, well, actually last week I was working on my using my T pattern to make a top to bring to Puyallup with me to wear with my new red linen pants. And I found this really nice, soft, fine gauge sweater knit in my stash. And I just want to stand up and show you. Okay, it's black. I'm going to turn to the side so you can see my bust. On this one, I put a drawstring. Okay, so I actually straighten the hem out a little bit to make a drawstring. But what I want to talk about with this pattern is if you have the T pattern, I want to tell you if it's in your stash and you're going to pull it out and start sewing it for yourself, it's a very fitted pattern. So one of the things you may need to do is make room for your bust. You can see, I'm going to turn to the side again so you can see, I have a G-cup bust. Notice I have no pulling. Everything's fitting really, really nicely. I want to show you how to do a full bust adjustment for this pattern. It's a little bit different than a traditional full bust adjustment on a one-piece shirt pattern because it has a seam that is above the bust right here. And then it has a center front and two side front pieces. So let me just show you the pieces here. And actually I have one of the front pieces already adjusted for a full bust. And you'll notice what I do here is I work with half the pattern because obviously you're going to want your full bust adjustment to be both on the left and right side. And this pattern has a full front in the Mrs. sizing. So you're going to want to trace the size that you need to work with and just trace half of it to do this full bust adjustment. So you're going to need the lower front piece, and you're also going to need the side front piece. And you can see here, this is, let me just get it over here so you can see. This is what the pieces look like after they're adjusted. So you can see we're going to be spreading the side front piece from the armhole notch down, and then we're going to cut off the top of the lower bodice to spread it vertically and horizontally. And then we're also going to fill in some of the area on the curve to make a little more room as well. Now, I ended up, I have a G cup, so I ended up needing to do this adjustment twice because this pattern is designed for a C cup. So if you have an A, B, or C cup, chances are you will not need to do a full bust adjustment. But if you're a D plus size, you definitely are going to need a full bust adjustment. One thing that can help you is if you work with four-way stretch fabric, meaning it stretches cross grain and it also stretches vertically, that's going to help fit a larger bust versus just working with a cross grain or a two-way stretch fabric. So four-way stretch is your friend if you have a large bust. But what I want to do is show you how to do this adjustment, and so you'll be able to do it on your own pattern. And just, I just want to show you here. Here are the other, this is the lower bodice. We have our center front with the neckline, and we have the side front piece here. And you can see the way this works is the dart is hidden in the seam between the lower and upper pieces. So you can see it's like right in there. So it creates a very fitted top. So those are the front pieces. And then let me just quickly show you the back pieces. This is the first pattern I ever drafted. And I will tell you, probably 15 years later, it's still my most popular. So this is a really cool pattern because you can make it up in so many different ways. This plain black version makes a nice fitted shape. You can also use all these little pieces to do color blocking and all sorts of fun. So it is a very fun pattern to work with. I just want to show you these are the back pieces, the upper back and lower back. All right, so now that I've showed you the pieces, let me show you how to do this full bust adjustment. All right, so the first thing we're going to do, I've cut out the upper side front piece, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay it into position. I'm going to align the bottom edge of the upper side front piece to the lower bodice piece like this, so that the notch for the seam on the upper side front piece, I'm just going to dash in the seam allowance there so you get that, lines up with the notch for your size, and you can see that's how it sews together. And what we're going to do is we are going to create a slash that will put us, I'm going to draw this line too here, so vertically down from this notch I drew another line, and we're going to connect all of that by drawing a diagonal line through the armhole notch, the side front piece, and the bodice like this. So you can see that we've put together the pattern pieces to create the slash lines we're going to need to adjust this pattern. So let me just review this because it's a little bit different. You're going to trace a copy of your upper side front piece, mark the front armhole notch, mark where the notch is along the top, and then draw yourself a little vertical line that's parallel to the center front down 2 inches. And actually, I already had this 2-inch line drawn, so this line is 2 inches below the top edge here. I got all excited. I'm drawing all of my lines, so let's just make sure we have this right. This is 2 inches down, okay? This is parallel to the center front, and then you connect or draw yourself a diagonal line from the armhole notch down to the intersection of this vertical line and the 2-inch horizontal line. Okay, so that's how we're going to prepare our pattern. So let's work with the upper side front first. What we're going to do here is we are going to slash on the line like this. Oops. Create a pivot, and then we're going to spread this the amount of the adjustment. You know, if you've got a D+ cup size, I recommend spreading it between 1/2 and 3/4 of an inch. So basically what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just stick some paper under here, and I'm going to tape it onto this inside edge, and then I'm going to measure 3/4 of an inch away, and then I'm going to slide the second half into position like this. I'm going to tape that down. So you can see this is giving us horizontal room for our bust where we need it. Okay, and to true this up, I'm just going to sort of skim off this little bit here that's sticking down like that. So that will complete the upper side front piece. For now, I'm going to put this aside. Now to do the lower bodice piece, I'm going to cut along that line, the horizontal line that's 2 inches below the top of the pattern. I'm going to put this lower section away for a second. Everything that's going to happen is going to happen right here first. So this vertical line that I drew from the notch down, we're not using that for the adjustment. That was just to get this diagonal line into the position we need it to be. So I'm going to cut off, well, I'm going to cut the diagonal line. I'm going to cut straight through all the paper here, because what we're going to do next is we are actually going to spread this little section 3/4 of an inch. So I'm just going to, again, put paper here. And then I am going to measure 3/4 of an inch from the vertical line to here. And then I'm going to just follow that along like this, straight up. And I'm going to tape back this piece, and we want this to stay correct, so I'm just going to continue my horizontal line like this, so I know that this piece is going to go right here. And I'm going to tape that into place. So now this part of the adjustment, what this is doing for us is it's making the top edge of the lower bodice agree with this. So you can see that we've added a similar amount going through the side front and the lower bodice piece. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to take some paper. I think I need 2 of these. I'll just stick them on top of each other like this. And we're going to put that, or we're going to tape that to the lower front edge like this. And we're going to spread the pattern 3/4 of an inch as well. So this is where we're adding the vertical extra length you need for your bust. So I am going to just draw myself a line that's 3/4 of an inch away, like this. And I'm going to tape this back into position. So you're making sure your center front is still in perfect alignment over here. Okay, so that's how that goes back together. Let me just trim off this extra paper so it looks nice and tidy. Okay, so this is going to go back on right here. Okay, now notice what's happening over here at the side. We've got this little bit of a funny jog going on over here. You can see these do not match up at all. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to walk this piece along this edge, and we're going to see where it needs to end up. And actually, I'm just going to put a little more paper here, so because I know I'm going to need it. Let me just put that right there. So I am just going to walk this. So I'm lining up the stitching line with the notch, and I'm just going to walk it right down. And you can see what's happening here is we need to fit this on. So I am going to have this needs to come out to here. Okay. So this is where the end is. Like, wait a minute. Let me just do that again. Hold on. We're going along. You notice I'm going about 1/4 of an inch away from the top edge. So really it's going to go to here. That's where it needs to go to, right here. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to continue this down like this. And then we're going to use, I don't know, a French curve, if you have one. And you're just going to add to fill that in. So you can see what you've done now is you've added to this side piece here. If you end up not needing all of the room on the side, you can take that in once you sew it together. All right, so what you can see is we've added a bunch of room here, and we've added all of this. I'm just going to color it in so you can see. We've added all of this, all of this, and all of this. Okay, so this is the amount of room you would need to add to the pattern if you're a D plus cup. If you're a D, you probably only need to spread it 3/8 to 1/2 inch. But if you're above a D, I think 3/4 of an inch is a good way, a good amount to start with. And you're adding it in everywhere you're going to need it. So you're adding it up here, which would be here. You're adding it over here, which would be this part, and you're also adding it vertically. And that will create a nice fitting tee if you have a D plus cup size. So I just wanted to share this with you because this continues to be one of my favorite patterns, and I probably sell more of these patterns than any other pattern in my collection. And I was thinking about it when I was cutting mine out and testing it and sewing this together, and I thought it'd be a nice reminder to show you how to adjust your pattern if you have a large cup size. All right, so that's how the adjustment looks, and you can see you'll have plenty of room for your D plus cup size. If you're a D cup, you might only need to add, you know, a 1/2 inch or 3/8 of an inch. But I just wanted to share this with you because, you know, when I was working on it on Sunday, I was having so much fun putting this together, and it's such a flattering top, but it also is very fitted. So I just wanted to share this full bust adjustment with you. So if you're working with the original tee pattern from my collection and you're having trouble getting room in your bust, this is how you're going to do it. If you have any questions or comments, please post them below and I will help you. Next week, scoop for the win, I promise. And this Friday, we are going to be doing buttonholes and blind hem, because during the last episode of the Sorsha Classic Slim Trouser Sew Along, I realized that my blind hem foot and shank were not in the box, the accessory box, so I had to find them. And I'm kind of embarrassed to tell you that I did find them, and they were right where I was looking, but I have my table on bed risers, and they fell into like the top of the bed riser where the you know, the table leg is, and that's why I couldn't see them. But I found them, and I'm going to share blind hem and how to do a buttonhole on pants this Friday coming up. So join me for that, 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time live, and we'll have a lot of fun with that, I'm pretty sure. So thank you guys for watching, and have a lovely rest of your day.